story is so familiar to us and so foreign at the same time. It is familiar. Many of us could quote the scripture by heart, or at least portions of it, though most likely in the King James Version. We messed things up when we started changing the translations. But we're not surprised by it anymore. We're not awed by it. And yet it remains so foreign to us. We cannot possibly understand what it was like to be Mary. She was a poor Jewish girl in a land that put no value on being poor, being Jewish, or being a girl. She lived in a land dominated by violence and bloodshed. She was young, probably no more than 14 years old, being given a task that was so far beyond the realm of her experience or ability that she might as well have been asked to fly to the moon. How was a girl with no education and no special qualities supposed to raise the Messiah? After all, the Bible doesn't tell us anything about her that made her special. Zachariah and Elizabeth, whose story is told in the same chapters, they were described as righteous before God, living blamelessly according to all the commandments of the Lord. But Mary, all we are told is that she was a virgin, which could have been said about most any girl her age in Galilee. We cannot possibly understand what it was like to be her. And on the other hand, I think we can. Mary lived in a land that put no value on her personhood. And some of us grew up feeling that we weren't valued or protected. Maybe it was for our gender, but more likely for no reason we could name. We just weren't good enough, weren't smart enough, weren't attractive enough, or we were just plain wrong. And so we hid who we were in fear of others finding out exactly how wrong we were. So some of us know what it's like to have little value. Mary was pregnant before she was ready. A few of us may know how it feels to get the news of an unplanned pregnancy. And many of us have received surprises that changed our lives, for the better or the worse. Mary was given a task for which she was woefully unprepared. And most parents know that feeling at one time or another. But whether parents or not, many of us have been faced with a task or a job or a calling that we felt was way beyond our ability to perform. We didn't have the skills. There was nothing special about us that would enable us to do what we were asked to do. Mary lived in a land dominated by violence and bloodshed, and we, God help us, know about the loss of innocent lives. So no, we cannot know what it was like to be Mary, and yet we can imagine pieces of it. We can imagine ourselves experiencing part of what she experienced. And because of that, maybe we can claim her story as our own. Because it is our story. But whether you believe the story is fact or fiction, it is still our story. Our story to claim and proclaim. Our story to celebrate and to consecrate. It is our story because we are young, at least in God's eyes. And we are unworthy in our own eyes. And we are in over our heads in the world's eyes. And yet we too are called. And yet we too are blessed. We gather to celebrate the coming of Jesus then and again. Not just because the calendar says it's time, but because our hearts say it's time. Because our hearts long for some peace on earth and goodwill to all. Jesus was born 2,000 plus years ago, but Christ is born again and again and again. The question is, will Christ be born in us? Maybe we cannot imagine what it felt like to be Mary, but we can still sing her song. If God is pleased with me, why am I so terrified? Someone tell me I am only dreaming. Someone help me see with heaven's eyes. And before my head agrees, my heart is on its knees. Holy is He, blessed am I, reborn in me, reborn in me. Trembling heart, somehow I believe that you choose me. I will hold you without beginning. You will hold me in the end. Every moment in the middle, make my heart your Bethlehem. Be born in me. All this time we've waited for the promise. All this time you've waited for my arms. Did you wrap yourself inside the unexpected, so we might know that love